This week you'll use your smartphone to predict the future. You'll have power over time and space. Welcome to the show that wears its liver on its sleeve. Ew. Scam School, the only show dedicated to social engineering at the bar and on the street. Howdy, I'm your host, Brian Brushwood, and this week we have an extremely special guest. Greg Rostami has created some of the best magic effects in the history of smartphone magic effects, and he has decided to take us behind the scene with one of his most popular, it's gonna be amazing, let's just go! OMG WTF BBQ, today is one of the best days of all time. Do you know why, Amy? Do you know why, Bassem?
Why is that, man?
Because we are joined by Greg Rostami, who's one of the most creative people in all of magic, and he has a collection of cell phone tricks that you can do, and we're gonna learn. Go.
Awesome. Absolutely, yes. Actually, well, you know what, Brian? I'm gonna do something with your calculator. So I'm gonna write down a prediction before we start, right? I'm gonna have you guys just do some crazy random math calculation, all right? So let me first write down what's gonna be my prediction. Okay, I think I'm ready. All right, I got it.
So what
There
am
it is.
What am I doing?
Okay, what you're gonna do, Brian, is this. Okay, you've launched the calculator,
Yep,
right?
yep.
So totally clear it out, so we're starting completely from zero.
Clear.
Clear. All right.
Done.
Now, we're gonna multiply a whole bunch of single-digit numbers. So start out with just some number,
Yep.
multiply by another number.
Yep.
Okay, now hand it over to Bassem.
Okay, all right.
There you go. You multiply just one single-digit number and keep hitting one number, hit a multiply.
So like
Hit
3 times 6
yeah,
times
like
9
3
times
times 6
3
times, or anything
times
you want.
a billion.
Okay, now give it to, all right, Susie.
All right.
Okay, now hit any number, hit multiply, hit any number, hit multiply. Okay, now as you're going, the number's getting big, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so keep doing it, and you can stop any time you like.
Stop now.
Okay, are you satisfied with that?
I'm satisfied.
Okay,
I'm
so
satisfied.
did you hit the equals button?
She looked
No.
like really
Go ahead and hit the
nervous.
equals button. Okay, so now you see some number on the screen there, right? And remember, I wrote something down even before we started. Now I'm not going to be able to get the entire number, but the first digit, which is the digit that's all the way to the right.
The last
Okay, the last digit, I should
Yeah.
say. The last digit is what I wrote down even before we started.
What is the last digit?
0.
Now, let me show you, by the way, that if you had typed in a whole bunch of different numbers, in fact, let me clear everything out, right? So let's say you're doing 3 times 6 times 7 times 2 times 4 equals,
Right.
that would have ended up with a 4
Right.
at the end, right?
Right.
So remember how I said you could stop anywhere you
That's
wanted
right.
to, right?
That's right.
So that's what's so amazing about it, is that every time I do this, I can put in completely different numbers, and at the end, the last digit's always going to be different. All right, it's now time for the truth. Time for the revelation.
All right, Bassem. What was the last digit?
What was the last digit?
The last digit was a 0.
It was. Now remember that I had made that prediction even before we did anything, right? Just
right.
to show you that this
No es
calculation-
posible.
No, believe me, it is.
Tu
Okay.
eres diablo.
Yes. Should we look at the prediction?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
No, don't you
I'm not
touch
even
it.
gonna touch it.
With your
You
wizard
go ahead.
fingers.
Yes.
All
We
right.
got the 0.
All right, forget that trick. You
Got
got
it.
something even better. Go.
Right, I do. Alrighty. I'm gonna try some NLP on you. Have you ever heard of NLP? Neuro-linguistic programming. It's a part of psychology where you can influence a very simple decision of people.
It's the manipulative language that they use for sales or to get
Exactly.
people to do certain things.
Exactly. Okay, now I'm gonna try this with you here first, all right? So, I'm gonna go for. Okay, I got it.
Like a giant erect penis.
All right.
aren't you?
No, I did not. I
drawing
did not.
boobies.
All right. So, I've written it down. I can't change my mind. Don't say a word. Using just your fingers, hold up any number between 0 and 9.
Okay.
Don't say anything. Just hold it up with your fingers. Go for it. Any number between 0 and 9.
I'm gonna keep my hands
visibly for you
Oh,
to
yeah,
see
absolutely.
it?
Because I've already written it down. I can't change my mind. Oh, yeah.
Pretty
Yes.
damn impressive.
Yeah.
Pretty damn impressive.
Massive, let me tell you why that happened, all right? Here's what happens. I start out, I give you a two-handed gesture. Whenever I present two-handed gestures, people always respond back with a single hand. Nobody ever goes for this, nobody ever goes for this, and nobody ever goes for the middle. People always break the middle close to the beginning, and that's why you went for the 2. It's just a kind of like a knee-jerk reaction that people fall into all the time. And it starts with the way that I speak to you and the way that I gesture towards you, all right? Now, this can happen with just about anything. Let's try to take it to another level. level. Okay, do you have some coins with you? Or Susie, do you have some coins with you?
I do.
You do? Okay, now don't bring it out yet. Don't bring it out yet, all right? What I'm gonna try to do is before you bring out anything, I'm gonna hopefully guess not only the kind of coin you're gonna bring out, but if you're gonna put it down on the table, heads up or tails up. All right? So, totally a guess, crossed fingers. I think you are gonna go for,
He's judging you. He's
I
got
am.
those judgment eyes on. He's like, oh.
okay, I gotta write down the coin, and I gotta write down if it's heads or tails.
She's obviously the 50-cent piece face down kind of
Oh
girl.
no, we don't know. We don't know. Go ahead.
Right.
Bring out any coin out of your pocket or your purse there.
Do you feel like your mind is being controlled right now?
No.
Oh, it's happening. Leave it on the table. Watch.
You're already mad.
You already
You're all
know.
just like-
You already know. Look. 10-cent tails. Oh yeah.
OMG, this is the greatest trick of all
OMG.
time.
That's pretty
Are you guys ready to learn it?
Yeah.
Holy crow, it's been over 5 years, half a decade, and it's time for us to thank our daddy. Not our biological daddy, our GoDaddy, one of the oldest sponsors of Scam School and the home of 99.99% uptime, cheap domains, and free 24/7 support with no annual commitment. I'm telling you, man, I get these crazy ideas for websites. I just buy a domain because they're that freaking cheap. And when you use promo code SCAM8 at checkout, you'll get 10% off your order no matter what you're getting, whether it's hosting, whether it's domains. 10% off of cheap is like crazy cheap. That's math, people. Okay, so there's a couple of different things that are happening here.
Yes.
We saw like a spectrum of effects, and some of them are stuff that everybody can do right now. Other parts require some extra effort. Would that be a good way to put it?
Yes,
All right,
absolutely,
walk
that's
us
correct.
through everything. Let's start with the very first one.
All right,
with
let's
the
start
zero.
with the first one. All right, with the zero. Okay, here's what happens. You can start out with either your phone to do this. You can write down a zero on a napkin or any piece of paper. It really doesn't matter. But the number is zero, okay? So in my case, I fired up this little doodling app, and I literally write down the number zero on there, just like that. Okay. And once I write it down, I don't show it to anybody. It's the secret. It's going to be the finale at the end, and I leave it face down on the table. Right? So then I borrow anybody's calculator. Now nowadays, everybody's got a smartphone, and they have a calculator on their smartphone. Right? So Brian, if you could please,
Yeah, of course.
launch the calculator on your phone.
All right, there we go. It's launched, and we're in.
And we're ready to go, right? So now at this point, I say, okay, people are going to randomly multiply a bunch of single-digit numbers, right? So Bassem, if you could please, go ahead, just start off, put in some numbers, go, and every time make it a different number. Get that, hit multiply,
Now, keep in
multiply,
mind-
times, times, exactly. Keep going and keep going. Right, you can stop anywhere you like. Equals. What's the last digit you see there, my friend? It's a zero, right?
Yeah, but we know that every time you do it, it doesn't turn out zero because you showed us. You hit a bunch of numbers.
Exactly.
and it turned
Notice
out
how
not to be zero.
I showed you a bunch of times that it happened. Now what happened is that Bassem exactly fell for what happens when you don't usually give people a calculator and ask them to multiply. Inevitably, they're going to hit 5. And any number multiplied by 5 is going to zero.
Once
Very
you hit
good.
zero, you never get out of zero.
never
Once
get
the
out of
last
zero.
digit is zero,
Zero.
you're stuck in that groove.
Multiply times any number and it'll always end up
Be
with
zero at
Exactly.
the end. You got it. Very good.
Now
very
this
good.
is actually very close to the Pi Day scam that we did. We did a Pi Day trick where we had people multiply it, and in that case, it relied on people either doing times 9 or times 3 twice. But once it got in that groove, you were stuck in there. But in this
Exactly.
case, I didn't know that there was a whole other groove with 5. That's how dumb
Isn't
I
there
am.
a chance that it could end up in a 5 though, or no?
No, there isn't. Because once you start with that 5 and you keep going and going and going,
Well,
it
at some
brings
point
that
you hit
0 at
2.
the end. What you now try to do is you now try to program your audience into thinking that that's not the case. And so now when I take the calculator from you, okay, so let me go, here we go. I take the calculator from you and I start doing the multiplications. Basically, I now go around that 5. I multiply by anything other than 5. And so now at the end, when I hit whatever number I'm going to hit, right? Let's say multiply by 6, I hit equals. Now in this particular, I say, hey, look, that time it's an 8.
All right, so what about the second part? Nobody cares
All
anymore.
right,
Now we know that first part. Come on, give us the goods.
So now it's time for the real goods, all right? So obviously you showed that the 0 is what you had predicted and you're all set, right? So now the second part of the trick that I did for you is actually an app that I developed, which is called iForce. All right. Now, what's cool about iForce is that when you launch it, you see over here when you launch it, it says Doodle.
Yeah.
You notice that says Doodle on the screen, right? And then it changes into a drawing app, right? Even though it's called iForce, if you did a search on the internet, or I should do a search on the App Store for an app called Doodle made by Recreation Software, you would find my Decoy app. Which
He
means if
made
you thought,
2 apps. He made a real Doodle app that nobody cares about, and he made a fake Doodle app that's a ripoff of the real Doodle app that he made.
one of them does magic, the other one doesn't. Let's show you what the magic is right now.
Okay.
All right, so here's what happens. When I ask you to think of a number between 0 and 9, what I do is I pull 2 fingers down on the screen like this, and it gives me a set of presets. Now, the first preset I'm going to do is the one all the way at the top, which says 1 to 8. Now, I don't say for you to think of a number between 1 and 8. I say think of a number between 0 and 9. Now, obviously, the numbers that are between 0 and 9 are 1 through 8, right? Now, if you did either a 0 or a 9, I would say, I'm sorry, I said between 0 and 9, right? So most of the time, people don't go for a 0 or 9. So now, when I do that little 2-finger thing, I pretend like I'm writing something on the screen, when in reality, I don't have to write anything, okay? So now, at this point, I leave the phone face down on the table. Now, I have to make that phone have or say a certain number. If he was to say 1, here's what happens. This is a 1.
Is it voice activated?
No. It's
No,
not
that's just it.
activated
That's
eye.
what's great. That's why you made him put up fingers.
That's why I say put up your
because
fingers,
then that
right?
way you wouldn't think it was Siri or anything.
All right, are you ready for the secret? Here's what happens.
Okay.
When you put the phone face down, I'm going to set it in a mode that it will constantly repeat. So it will show it to you again and again. Watch.
So
So
essentially,
first-
when the phone's face down, it's Schrodinger's cat. Like
Exactly.
you don't. It could be any number.
It could be any number here,
and
right?
it's the way you pick up the phone.
It's the way you pick up the phone. So when I'm looking at the phone, in my mind, I see a 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes around clockwise.
Okay.
And then it's also 5, 6, 7, 8, but this time it's going to be a slow pickup. So let me do it for you. So for a 1, here is a 1.
Quickly from the top.
Right,
That's
exactly.
right,
on top.
now it's 1.
Now
It's
he
a
said
5.
2. He said 2.
said 2.
So 2 is over here. It's on this side. So all I do is flip it over there. That's a 2, right?
That's awesome.
So a 3 is down here, so now that's a 3. There's
so
a 3. All right. The 4 is the 4. Now you said, for example, you wanted to do a 5, right?
Well, then
So
you just pick up from the front slowly.
exactly, slowly. In fact, let's do that. Watch. So I leave that face down. So now from the front, nice and slow, and you are right, my friend. There is the 5, right?
So here's what's amazing, because you didn't just stop at numbers, right?
Right.
You essentially picked the simplest version of this trick possible. You can custom write your own possibilities
Oh,
for
absolutely.
everything?
Right. So when we went into the presets, you notice that there's a variety of presets that are there.
right.
We have presets here that are for, let's say, a money performance, or we got presets that are for a coin. So when I said for you to bring out a coin out of your wallet or your pocket,
Yeah.
all I did was I selected that coins preset, which I had made previously. Since there are 4 American coins, and I can either have a head side or a tail side,
Right.
there's 8 possibilities, and therefore the
You
trick
have
works
4
well.
sides of the coin.
Exactly.
Heads, tails is the speed that you.
But here's
Right,
what's amazing,
right.
man. You can use this to like hit on girls with like astrological signs. You,
Oh, yeah.
you can make predictions about where people are from. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Literally, the possibilities are endless. with
Possibilities
this
are
thing.
totally endless. Whatever you can write or draw on that screen will become your prediction.
All right, now here's the. You guys understand the fundamentals at this point. The question is, do you understand just the simplest version of this to perform it on us? Oh, Bassam, I
Yes.
heard that you were struck by radioactive lightning, and now you have amazing telekinetic psychoactive powers.
That's right.
Would you care to demonstrate your legerdemain?
We can do that. For a price.
All right, what can we do, sir?
Okay, let's. I've got my my phone here.
Yeah.
Why don't, for example, why don't you pick a number, any number between 0 and 9?
All right, hold on. Let us confirm.
Okay, hold
Let's pick 2.
on. Okay.
We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so
We got
I'm gonna doodle on my screen the
Yes.
number that I think that you chose.
Yes.
Roger.
Go for it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So at your leisure.
I'm sorry, Bassam. I lied.
Okay.
You probably thought it was 2. It wasn't.
It wasn't.
It was 4.
It was 4.
That's right. So freaking
You
simple,
are
dude.
amazing.
You're a goddamn wizard. Give me a toast. That
Yes.
was amazing.
Way to go, B.
That's awesome.
Now, some of you guys are going to notice that that first part relies on almost the exact same method that we used for the Pi Day magic trick about 3 years ago. One of my all-time favorite effects. So if you want to learn how to take that method to level 12, make sure to check out that episode. Second of all, seriously, how amazing is iForce? You got to thank Greg Rostami. Hit him up at Rostami Magic on Twitter and say thank you for sharing your wizard powers. By the way, those are available on iPhone and Android, and they're freaking dirt cheap. It's literally the best magic trick in the history of phones, and he gave it to you because he loves you. In fact, there are so many different things you could do with the iForce. I want you guys to suggest your favorite methods to use it to blow people's minds. What will you predict? Put it in the comments. I watch all of that stuff. By the way, don't forget to join us next week because we're going to find out scientifically what happens when a rabbi and a magician walk into a bar. I'll give you a hint. We drink. That's what we do.
I have one last question.
Yes.
Okay. Can you do the trick without seeing the coin?
I'm sorry if we gave you the wrong impression. The phone is not actually psychic. That's on us. We didn't explain that clear enough.
I'm deaf in this ear.
That's good. That's good. As long as we're on the same page.